has been broken, but tomorrow night, Josh will be on Tucker Carlson. So Zink, we won't have to worry about that tonight. But I was kind of wondering if it was tonight, would it be at the top of his show, and then we would have to break right away. So now that we don't have to worry about that, I will go over some of the I'm not going to say rules per se, but we're going to go over some of the decorum and the professionalism that I want to have in this space tonight. The Amigos have hosted Kamil one other time in a space, so welcome back, Kamil.
Thank you.
And with having said that, I would like to keep this space very professional tonight. So, as in some spaces, there tends to be a little bit of profanity. There will be no profanity tonight. If anybody tries that, you will be immediately muted and booted from the room. We have two young gentlemen with us tonight that are standing up or have stood up against some of this woke culture and at great risk to themselves. So we need to honor them and respect them for what they've done. So with that, though, I would like to turn it over to Zink for a minute, who will go over some of the technical things that we're doing and some of the back channels we're running. So Zink, if you're ready, do you want to come on and tell us a little bit about what's going on in the background?
Yep, so can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Perfect. So yeah, up in the nest, you'll see the usual set of links if you've been in any of my spaces or our spaces. I've actually included more than usual, so all the flavors are out there, even Odyssey, which is weird. So the way we're going to do this tonight is we're going to prefer that people ask questions through the Twitch, right, just so we don't overwhelm the guests here and we can keep things on track. So if you go to the Twitch or the Rumble, you can ask questions through there. I'll try and monitor the other ones too, but yeah, Twitch is obviously the one that I tend to monitor more, and then I'll also be monitoring the Rumble since we always try to prioritize the Rumble there too, but I'll try to watch the other ones as well too. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, put them in there, and then we'll follow up with them there. So that's how we're going to try and run this tonight.
Thanks, Zink. And having said that, we will be getting to a place and time in here. I see my friend Mike is having connection issues. He's coming back.
Walkpog has technical issues too, so drop him down and bring him back up as well. And then reminder, we're going to do the anthem as well first.
Yes. Okay, so just maybe while I'm taking care of a little bit of administration here with WOG, we will do our Canadian national anthem.
Hopefully it's a public domain version.
Yeah, it looks like Mike is having trouble now. So let me. Yeah, he is. Let me bring him down. Invite the co-hosts. Sorry, folks, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here. I'm going to bring WOG down, remove from co-hosts. Okay, we got Mike back. Are you back, Mike?
Yeah, I believe so. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. Wog, go ahead. Are you okay?
I think so. So just to sort of set the tone here, guys, I did dump something in the nest there. That's that thing above the speaker's heads there. There's a couple tweets in there. There's Zinc's links, number one to the right, and then number one to the left is our friend Esme V, who's been the head of this Canadian Women's Sex-Based Rights. I just want to read their mission statement a little bit here because I think that we needed to do a little bit of definition here. And the reason why is that there's a difference between biological sex and gender identity, right? So I'm just going to read these ones out to you. This is an action, group. They just did a protest there on Sunday, I believe. So what they're trying to say here is that, well, I'll just read it out. I mean, why put words in their mouth? Okay, so number one, sex, as a distinct from gender, is a material biological reality. 2, there are only 2 sexes, female and male. 3, disorders of sex development, DSDs, sometimes referred to as intersex, exist, but people with DSD are either female or male. 4, humans cannot change their sex. Scientific evidence demonstrates that the sex chromosomes within our DNA are present in every one of our cells and are immutable, in other words, unchangeable. 5, gender identity and expression, which have yet to be defined in Canadian law, are culturally based stereotypical degrees of masculinity, quote, and femininity, quote. 6, all Canadians are free to express and present themselves as they wish. However, the concept of, quote, gender identity and expression, which is the terminology used in the law here, does not negate the material biological reality of women and girls. 7, women and girls' sex-based rights to bodily privacy, dignity, and fairness and security are enshrined in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, in which sex is a protected characteristic. 8, Canadian women's sex-based charter protections are based upon the fact that females have historically been, and still are, disadvantaged and vulnerable due to their distinct biological reality. 9, therefore, women's and girls' sex-based charter rights must be strongly asserted and preserved in public policy and must take precedence over any concept of gender. 10, the inclusion of males in the definition of, quote, woman under federal and provincial human rights legislations, parentheses, i.e. gender self-identification, close parentheses, is regressive, unfair, and perilous for Canadian women and girls. So I just want to make that definition here that there's a biological definition and then there's a gender identity thing. Gender identity thing can be multitudinous, but what we're talking about, or what we're trying to frame the conversation here, is to try to say, biological males and females. So just sort of setting the tone there a bit, and I think everyone sort of knows why we're doing that. But that's it. Thanks, Chair 6.
Thanks, Wog. And I just want to go over a little bit. I don't want this space to get political tonight. This is about 2 young gentlemen that are standing strong and tall. We need more young people like Josh and Kamil to stand up against some of the tyranny and everything else that we have been subjected to here in Canada and pretty much all over the world. So we're honoring them tonight. So we don't want to get into the political sphere, And WOG just went over a little bit about what we're trying to stick to as well tonight, as far as the biological issue rather than the gender equity issue. So, and we will get into a time tonight, and like Zink said, you can put questions in through the back channels, and we will ask your questions accordingly, or you can request a mic, and my co-host will be monitoring the mic requests. We will be watching for trolls, because anybody that has spent time in spaces, we know that the trolls do come in and try to disrupt the room and the space. And so we're going to be watching that as well. So a little bit of history here. We were first known, myself, Mike, and WOG, as the Three Amigos. And then we kind of adopted our friend Zink to form the Four Amigos. So we're either the Three Amigos, the Four Amigos, or just the Amigos. I am in Southwestern Ontario. I'm a boomer. I'm 68 years old. I'm not vaccinated, not worn a mask, not tested, and never had COVID, and I'm never died either. Mike is in New Brunswick, and WOG is in British Columbia. Zink was in Quebec and just left Canada for Idaho. So that's a little bit history on us. We've been running spaces for a long time. We have a lot of hours into this, and we're doing this not for any benefit of ourselves, not a popularity contest. We're doing this for you. We're trying to get the word out, maybe wake up some people that maybe are still sleeping, but we're doing this for you, not for us at all. And having said that, I want to introduce Kamil for those that don't know. Kamil is a fourth-year university student at Sir Wilfrid Laurier, and Kamil, my son, graduated from Sir Wilfrid Laurier in the honors business program years ago. Great school. But Kamil was battling the mask mandates there. And then we have Josh. Josh is a 16-year-old grade 11 high school student at a Catholic school in Renfrew, Ontario, which is about an hour outside of Ottawa. And I will let Josh and Kamil both tell their stories here in a second. And then the co-host and myself will pose some questions, and we'll go from there. And we will then move into a question open mic session. So first of all, I want to go to Kamil. Kamil, and you say his name, but Bachouchi. Did I get that right, Kamil?
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, there you go. It's the spelling is but I kind of figured it out. Bachouchi.
Yeah.
So Kamil, go ahead and tell your story a little bit, and then we'll carry on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you to all the amigos here for hosting this space, and thank you to everyone for taking the time to listen to Josh and I here. So I'll keep this brief. My name's Kamil. I'm a fourth year student at Laurier over in Waterloo. I guess I don't know how this all started. I guess with me it was I guess the real bone I had to pick with my school was with regards to the vaccine mandate that was instituted, give or take 18 months ago. So September 2021. I was reluctant to provide, personal medical information to an institution that I didn't think was privy to that kind of information. So I was kicked out for a year. Had a big fight with the administration over my tuition refund because everyone in the same shoes as me, like not willing to give vaccine information or unvaccinated, whatever it may be. We were all kicked out of school, and there was an attempt to steal half of our tuition. After a long battle with the school, I was able to get that tuition back. But it was an interesting 12 months for me, really, just looking around, not being able to recognize the country I grew up in. It was a scary sight, really. People afraid of each other. This hostility in the air that I had never really seen in my life, other than maybe like my family lives in Paris, like France. So right after the Charlie Hebdo stuff happened, like 2012 ish, you could feel hostility in the air, and that's something I'd never felt in Canada. And yeah, I mean, it was just an interesting year. I was, trying to focus on myself. I couldn't really go to school. I couldn't travel. Couldn't leave the country. Couldn't really do much. So it was a lot of, keeping my head down, trying to learn, trying to see what was happening around me. And finally, fast forward a bit to September 2022. We the unvaccinated students and the students that wanted to keep their personal information personal or private were finally allowed back at the formerly great Laurier University. And yeah, I just remember being informed, say maybe a week before, long after you're able to transfer anything, a week before the semester began, and back in September just now, that we were going to be forced to wear masks in class or in the library, basically anywhere that you spend more than 5 minutes on campus. And with what had happened with the university over the past 12 months, I didn't feel that inner reservedness that you could say, that desire to be a good kid. Not that I was ever the kid in the class that would just follow the rules or whatever. You could call me a bit of a distracted child growing up. I like to finish my work quick and start having fun. But I didn't have that desire to play on the safe side anymore. I was in my last year. I should have graduated last year. I was a year ahead, and they stole that year from me, right? So I decided I was going to tether the line, really tiptoe on it, and follow the mask mandate that the school had put in place, which had no mention of medical masks or anything. It simply said, it said wear a medical mask or something that covers your chin, mouth, and nose. And once I really got into the fine print, I realized I could have some fun with it. And so I decided to start wearing a different mask. I think this was conjured up in some way, like at my buddy's house. We thought it would be a good way to get attention, or get raise the school's eyebrow a little bit, and make them realize that this isn't just full compliance. You might have 99% compliance, but there's going to be the kids like me that make it hell for this school to continue on with this ridiculous measure, practice. I don't know what they want to call it. So I decided to throw a different mask on every day, put it up on my Twitter, and try and raise some awareness. Really, just show people that weren't necessarily Laurier students or University of Waterloo students that this is still happening. We're almost 3 years into this, call it a pandemic if you want, into the virus, and you're seeing the healthiest people in society forced to wear a mask.
So on your point, Kamil, just as a side note here, while you talk, I just threw up 3 examples on your profile, and if it doesn't make you laugh, I don't know what else can make you laugh, but that's why we highlighted Kamil a few months ago. Guys, do take a gander up there to get a visual of just how ridiculous what this guy was doing. So just feeding into you there, Kamil. Keep on going.
Appreciate it. Yeah, like it was really a way for me to try and, you know, garner some attention, or, you know, bring some eyes onto the school, show people what was still going on. What would the math be? 30 months after this all started, 95% of the world is back to normal. Canada is, especially in Ontario, I mean, it's like we're living in another world, or they're trying to make it seem like everything's worse than it actually is. And you know what? You could obviously hypothesize as to why, which is not what I'm here to do, but it was ridiculous. It was to just looking around, seeing the absurdity around me. There, for me at least, in the position that I was in, trying to finish my degree, get out of here, go to law school. The best route for me was to mock the school whilst following the rules, so that I couldn't get kicked out, because I'm sure I was on their blacklist after the scene I caused last year with my refund. But yeah, it was a good way to, and it paid off, right? Like we got the mandates dropped right before reading week, so give or take 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I mean, I don't want to say my job's done, but it's definitely a big check mark, a big load off my shoulders to know that we all did it. And obviously it wasn't just me. It primarily wasn't me. It was everyone that was sharing and get it, you know, for lack of better words, verbally abusing or attacking the school via countless different means. So yeah, I thank everyone that's here, everyone that, you know, that took part in this movement. And I think we showed the school that there's not just one outcast. You know, there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us, and I think I said this last time I was here, but there's no need to feel alone. I mean, I think we're on the right side. I know we're definitely on the strong side in Canada, and as long as we stick together and you know, boost each other when the time is needed, I don't see an obstacle that we can't surmount, frankly. So,
hey, that's great, Kamil, and I just want you to know how proud we are of you, what you did. I never wore a mask through any of this, and even though Sir Wilfrid Laurier still had a mask mandate where I am, and I think all the high schools, public schools, they dropped all their mandates, but yet Sir Wilfrid Laurier, for some woke reason, maintained it. Was there any other university? I know Western University had some problems there, and there was protests there. But other than Sir Wilfrid Laurier, when you still had your mask mandate, and all the other public schools and grade schools and high schools had dropped them, was there any other universities besides Sir Wilfrid Laurier that you know of?
Yeah. So University of Waterloo was one of them. They dropped it right before the second semester, right before this current semester started. As you said, Western, I think November, December, finally dropped theirs. Those were the three I was looking at. Like, as far as I was concerned, my buddies, like say at Queens over in Kingston, they never had a problem with even the vaccine mandates. I mean, I have tons of like unvaccinated buddies there. It's crazy that I even have to, you know, describe my buddies like that. But anyways, I have tons of buddies over in Kingston that are, you know, not vaxxed, and they never had a problem. They were never forced to hand in any sort of documents. They were never told to put a mask on. And yeah, you have your odd teacher that'll try and force you to wear a mask, but as long as you can reason your way out of that, you're fine. I think the main problem is with the school mandating it. I think Brock had a mask mandate, and they might still have one. I know U of Manitoba. Laurier is not alone. Laurier was just one of the last to finally give way. But no, there's definitely more universities in Canada or Ontario specifically that have these mandates.
Well, I've got a question for you after this, but I just want to remind everybody. There's lots of people in here that are big influencers. I'm looking down through the list here. It's imperative that you guys retweet the room. This is a Canadian conversation that's very, very important, and obviously we're just about to pivot over here to Josh. But just on this message, while you guys are retweeting down there, especially you influencer types that have those thousands of followers. Kamil, I think the other way that TR6's question could be interpreted, do you think that the elongation of the mask mandate at Laurier was in a direct retribution to the fact that you were standing up and pushing back?
Frankly, no. I don't think that the mandate had anything to do with me. I think the school is and again, you can hypothesize however you want, but I think the school is lining their pockets with whatever funding they receive, whether it be from the government, from private or public companies. They are lining their pockets. I mean, they hand out masks for free. They've probably spent $1 million on masks alone. 99% of which end up either on the floor on campus or like on the ground outside or in the garbage.
What about the lettuce masks and the grapefruit masks? Are those also being handed out?
No, I mean, you would think I think the grapefruit works better than that blue thing, but no, of course not, right? Like, and you don't even have to. I don't like getting into these games with these people, right? It's like the whole environmental argument. It's like, you understand their playbook right now. It's a whole lot of hypocrisy, looking one way, turning your back, looking the other way, a lot of contradiction. So yeah, I mean, you could try and mess with them a little bit, say, hey, aren't your masks polluting? But then they'll bring up some next world issue that needs immediate attention. Like, there's no point in talking about that with these people, honestly. And I'd love to. I mean, I'm one to debate.
Well, I mean, we don't want to get too political. I guess like the pointed part of my question is that I think that what I've seen with this stuff is that more you push back, the more they want to show you that they're in control. So I think that's a great summation, Kamil. And I think later we're going to get some themes that is going to get you and Josh interacting, which is going to be fantastic. But for the moment, let's throw it back to TR6.
Sure.
Where are we going, TR6?
Yeah, thanks. One question for you, Kamil.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up the fact that Laurier is getting millions of dollars from somewhere. The University of Toronto, known as the U of T, the Dalla Lana School of Medicine, which a lot of our public health officers are connected with, and the Ontario Science Table, which was set up by the McKinsey Group, which is tied to the WEF.
Mm-hmm.
They set up the Ontario Science Table, and most of those people were tied to the U of T and the Dalla Lana School of Medicine. And just coincidentally, the largest contributor to the Dalla Lana School of Medicine, the U of T, is the Bill Gates Foundation. So any idea whether there's any funding from that to Laurier?
I mean, I would be shocked if there wasn't. The only thing I can confirm, because I've done my own research with a buddy last semester, is that Laurier has some interesting ties to the Chinese federal government, as well as like Laurier offices in China, some kind of Chinese federal government office within one of the Laurier campuses. I think it might be the Brantford one. Someone can fact check me here if you want to spend the time. But it took some digging to find this stuff. It's not like the school's advertising it on their website. So yeah, I do think. I mean, I'm certain, without necessary proof, I'm certain that there is some interesting ties between Laurier and other foreign entities, whether it be quote unquote foundations or federal governments from another, arguably hostile countries. But yeah, I mean, it's all over. Everything's dirty, I feel like, with these institutions at this point.
Yeah, University of Western Ontario, when they came up with their vaccine mandate that you had to be boosted, and they did that after people had already sent in their tuition money.
Yep.
But they said, this is the funny thing, they said that everyone, students, teachers, had to be boosted, but if you were a financial contributor, you could come on campus without. So that tells you everything you need to know, right? So
For sure.
without going down that rabbit hole, Kamil, if you could mute your speaker,
Yep.
we will move over to our friend Josh. And Josh, if you're ready to go, I would like you to tell a little bit about you, about how you got involved in this. I believe I did read that you were initially in a public school setting and then moved to the Catholic school system. And maybe you could touch on that. And I guess just tell a little bit about yourself. Now, I know, Josh, I've seen there's a few YouTubes of you being interviewed in different medias. And now you've been interviewed on the Tucker Carlson show. You'll be on there tomorrow night. And I'm sure you've probably not had any media training or formal media training in my past life. I've been retired for quite a while now, but I did have media training, and it is a little bit of a chore dealing with the media. So at 16 years old, my friend, you're doing a great job. So go ahead, Josh. Welcome, and there you go. Turn your mic on and go ahead.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me on. So yeah, I guess like you said, my story would have started in the public high school, the public board. I went there and during the mask mandates and the COVID restrictions and the lockdowns and you name it. I had been organizing student walkouts. It's first started in my high school alone, and then it ended up actually spreading all across the country. And yeah, we just throwed a poster, and it spread pretty quick. It was just me and a couple of my buddies from Save Canada, and the cops showed up to my school several times because of my principal's request, and I got suspended 4 times, I believe. And yeah, that was my time in the public board. So I ended up doing a bunch of media on that, and there was a lot of drama that went down there. But after all that had blown over, I decided to just have a fresh start in the public board, or in the Catholic board, sorry. And when I switched to the Catholic board this September, I was informed by female students that there were male students using their washrooms, and they were concerned by this. They were disturbed, and I felt the need to say something. I felt it was a duty and an obligation, so I did, and yeah, they. My message wasn't received very well. It came up in class debates. It came up in the office. I was rebuked. I was called a sexist, racist, bigoted, homophobe by the staff and students. More so students, but staff would definitely get in there when they could. And yeah, it got pretty ridiculous and dramatic. But at the end of the day, the school refused to hear what I had to say. They ignored me. They also ignored another female student that actually was brave enough to come out and speak her mind. And yeah, I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, so I decided to organize a protest outside the school. It's something I'd done before, and I thought I might as well give it a shot. Hopefully, get this issue some media attention, and then maybe the school will take it more seriously. So that's what I did, and 2 days before the protest, I was suspended indefinitely. They didn't really give a reason for the suspension until after almost 20 school days. I ended up having a welcome back meeting. They called the suspension to an end, and they informed me that I was to be permanently banned from 2 of my classes, and that I wasn't allowed to speak to certain students. And at that
Hey,
point, they were
Josh, what was the reason they gave you for being banned from 2 classes?
So what they told me was when I had expressed my beliefs, this is when they released the allegations. They said that there were transgender students in those classes that felt uncomfortable in my presence. And so I had to inquire quite a bit about what these actual allegations against me were. And so they finally released them. And the top 2 were that I said that male breastfeeding is pedophilia when a teacher, in response to a teacher encouraging it and promoting it it was actually in a math class. And then the second allegation is that in the same class, when a transgender student left their seat in the middle of a class debate and walked towards me, scolding me for what I believed, and told me that people can be whatever they want to be and change their biology and all this, I disagreed and said, no, God created only 2 genders, and you're born either a male or a female. And that was considered bullying. So those were the allegations against me, and they said that those students were uncomfortable, so they permanently banned me from these 2 classes. And when I informed the school that I wasn't going to abide by those conditions of my return, I would attend all of my classes, and I wasn't going to surrender my rights to freedom of expression and freedom of religion and all these fundamental freedoms. So, long story short, when I said that, they responded and said that I was to be excluded under the Education Act because they felt I was a threat. So, yeah, I disregarded this exclusion order. It had no legal basis. I spoke to my lawyer and he agreed. So, anyways, I returned to school at the end of the Christmas break, first day back, and I was given a trespassing notice and another suspension just for attending class. After that happened, I had a lot of negotiation going on between myself, my lawyer, and the school, and the school's lawyers. And we kept negotiating. It wasn't going anywhere. I waited all the way till the end of January, the end of my first semester. I waited out my suspension and the trespassing notice, and we contacted the school, and we told them I was ready to return to school. When doing so, I expected not to be discriminated against because of my beliefs. I said I would continue to adhere to my religious beliefs and expect to have a mutual respect from staff and students there, including myself. And so that's what we sent over, and they responded by saying that they felt my presence in the building be detrimental to the physical and mental well-being of the pupils, and ended up excluding me for the remainder of the year. Once again, this exclusion order, they were playing the same card. I had done nothing wrong except express my beliefs. I had lost 4 credits at this point. It was the beginning of a new semester, a fresh start, and I wanted to just go back and get an education for a change. And so I did. I went to class on the first day of the new semester, and I was removed. I was brought into the office. The principal blocked the door of the office and said there were some people on their way to see me. And when I asked who, he wouldn't tell me, and just told me to wait. So I did, and it ended up being Ontario Provincial Police, and they told me I need to leave the building, and I informed them that I was just a student of the school, there to get an education. I had every right to do so, and the only reason the principal wanted me removed is because I exercised my freedom of expression and freedom of religion and association. And I gave them that spiel, and I said, should you choose to arrest me, I won't resist, but I'm certainly not going to surrender my freedoms and walk out upon an unlawful request. And at that point, they arrested me and charged me with trespassing. And yeah, that was that for that day, at least.
Wow, that's quite the story. Now, are you still out of school?
Yes, I'm currently out of school for the remainder of the year. If I go back, I will be arrested again. And yeah, it was left off at that point. Recently, I've just been focusing on media and activism for the most part. It was interesting. One day after my arrest at the school, after I had been released, I was arrested and taken into custody a second time in Ottawa at the National Arts Centre.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that as well. So just a couple quick questions for you. I know you have a few friends that are standing with you on this, and but what would what was the overall support or non-support of fellow students at that school? And folks, this is a Catholic school, by the way. Would you say the majority of students stood with you or were against you?
I can't give a very honest opinion on that because I had only I was very new to the school, and by grade 11, just because social dynamics, once you get in there, you'd have to really be trying to get to know people. So I just kept to myself for the most part. I was just there to finish up high school. I didn't really care about the social aspect. So I actually didn't know many of the students. So I don't know. I've been kicked out since November, so I don't know how many students supported me. I know I had a rough estimate of approximately 100 students that were planning to join the protest with me, but after I was suspended, the teachers went around class to class and intimidated students and told them their reputations would be ruined if they were seen with me, and that they wouldn't have transportation home if they joined my demonstration.
Hey, folks, this is Canada. I see we have just a little bit of administration here. I see we have a couple requests. We are not in a position yet, as of yet, to hand out mics. We will get to an open mic session, so please hold on to your requests. We will not be handing out mics at this point in time, but we will. Just hold on. Josh, do you have any idea of the percentage of transgenders at that school, and are there male transgenders and female transgenders? Do you have any feeling for that?
I know there are representation for both of those categories, but I couldn't give you a percentage. There's a lot of I don't even know what they call it now. LGBT. I don't know the rest. You name it.
Well, I call them the alphabet people.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, there's I know there's quite a few of them in that school. I don't know which ones would say they're trans. I don't know. I just know that I do know of certain students that were part of that problem, and I addressed it, and this is where it got me.
So when you said that there was another girl that was standing up, I believe it was the Catholic school. Was it the Catholic school, Josh?
Yeah. She was after I addressed the principal and she's witnessed class debates and stuff. She felt a need to speak up and say that yes, actually, girls were concerned about this, and yeah, so she went to the office and complained, and they blew her off. They were much more polite and respectful with her, but they still didn't care too much, obviously, because they didn't take any action.
So no police were called on the girl.
No, she didn't get arrested or anything like that.
So,
Right.
Josh,
Not yet, at least.
Josh, I assume that your parents are in full support of what you're doing.
Yeah, they're supportive. They're just letting me work things out with my lawyer right now.
Well, that's great. It's always good to have your parents backing you up. And Josh, I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate what you're doing, and I stand with you. So you mentioned Save Canada. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I just want to mention uh, I did buy a Save Canada hat online, and I was hoping I would have it for tonight. I have a variety of ball caps through all this, and I was hoping to have it, but it didn't come in on time for tonight. But it's on order, and I will wear it proudly in support of you. So, could you talk a little bit about the Save Canada?
Yeah, I appreciate your support. Um, it was actually an organization that started down in Nova Scotia. Young people that were resisting the mandates, and then it's kind of been passed off to myself and my brother and my buddy Monty Walker and the rest of our crew here in Ontario, and we've been just I guess to summarize what we've been doing, we're just attempting to wake up the youth. I would say that the youth of our generation are under attack. Um, there's a very obvious attack on the family unit, and the best way to break apart the family is to go after the youth, and that's clearly what they're doing. So we want to encourage youth to stand up, and we're hopefully leading with example and inspiring others to do the same.
Wow, that's great. Great on you, Josh. And uh, for those in the space, and I'm sure you're all aware of this. Uh, the young, like Josh said, they are coming after our children big time. And a lot of our children, especially people Kamil and Josh's age, uh, they've grown up in the school system where we all know they've been indoctrinated from a young age. And many of uh, young adults their age uh, are buying into this woke culture, the cancel culture, and the socialism and everything else they're trying to push on our children and on all of us. So for these two young men to stand up against this and take a stand at great personal risk. I mean, here's Josh, a grade 11 student, 16 years old, and he can't get an education. He wants an education. He wants a normal life without all this. He's standing up for his beliefs. He's standing up for his rights. And we see that our rights are being taken away a little bit at a time, but it's getting to the point where a lot of our rights have been taken away now. It's just a little bit at a time. Go ahead, Wog. And Mike, anytime you want to speak up, Mike, jump in or Zink. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Wog.
I just wanted to frame this a little bit. So the charge that you got, Josh, for being suspended and coming back to school, just saying you wanted your education, that charge was?
At the school, I was charged with trespassing, and the one day later, I was charged again with trespassing, and there's trespassing again, and then they also said there's 2 counts of disruption or something. But at the school, I was only charged with trespassing.
Gotcha. Okay, and I at some point I want to pivot to the Ottawa thing that went down. I'm just trying to search it right now so I can get the Twitter backup of the video. But I did watch that video, and maybe at this point it might be a good time to sort of pivot to what went down in Ottawa for you, and what was your aim? What was your goal? Where were you at? You know, just give us the 5 W's, if you will, and then again back to the charge here, and then just how all that went down, if you can get what I'm laying down there.
Yeah, for sure. So after Well, actually, before I decided to return to school and got arrested at school, I had already, with my organization, Save Canada, released a poster, and we had decided to be present in front of the National Arts Centre in Ottawa in response to the announcement of a drag queen story time that was taking place there. So myself and my crew went down to Ottawa. We were, as usual, vastly outnumbered by counter protesters, and I actually got to go inside the drag queen story time momentarily until police actually grabbed me and pulled me out. But it was interesting to talk to the organizers or the security and kind of look them in the eye and ask them why I wasn't allowed to see what was happening with these young kids behind closed doors. I even told them I'm a 16-year-old kid and I just want to go to the kids' drag show. But yeah, they turned me away, and it's no surprise. But it shows that there's obviously something inappropriate going on in there, and I even got to see the attire that the drag queens were wearing. It was completely inappropriate. So that kind of justifies why we were there to demonstrate. But nonetheless, we were outside. I had a megaphone, and I was giving the gospel on the sidewalk there in front of the National Arts Centre. I communicated with police liaison. They gave us the go-ahead. And while we were breaching out there, we ended up getting attacked and surrounded and pinned up against the wall. They stole my hat. They were trying to break my megaphone, and they were hitting us up a bit. And so police ran into the crowd, and instead of grabbing our assaulters, they took me and my crew. They threw us into traffic, and then when we tried to get off the road and back onto the sidewalk, so we're out of traffic, they threw us back onto the road again, and then arrested my brother for being on the road. They arrested him. They ended up dropping all his charges because they recognized how stupid it was, and he was out within 15 minutes. It was almost at the exact same time that they released him that as I was trying to get back onto the sidewalk, I was just waiting at the crosswalk. The light changed. I started walking across the crosswalk while continuing to use my megaphone. I was quoting John 3:16 at the time, and the police officer informed me that if I didn't stop using the megaphone, I would be arrested. I believe he said for disruption, and I didn't stop. I have a right to freedom of expression. I have a right to peaceful protest and a right to religion, because I was even quoting the scripture and giving the gospel at the time. And so yeah, the cops they arrested me there. They held me for about 2 hours, and you have to remember that I'm a minor. They didn't contact any guardian. They arrested me, held me for 2 hours, charged me with trespassing, and then drove me away. Dumped me on the side of the road without telling anybody where I was. Without asking me if I knew where I was. Nothing. They just dumped me there as a minor. They stole $600 worth of my camera equipment, and they haven't given it back. And just a few days ago, they apologized and said that the trespassing charge that they issued me was a mistake, and they meant to charge me with two accounts of disturbance, or yeah, 2 accounts of disturbance. And so yeah, there's I think there's a pretty hefty lawsuit in there, but yeah, that was the Ottawa story.
Well, Josh, do they still have your camera equipment?
Yeah, I still haven't gotten that back.
Wow. You know, your story you just told about you being taken away and dropped off in the middle of nowhere sounds very similar to what happened to the young man during the convoy who was beat up at the War Memorial, the veteran. And he's the same fellow. I was there in Ottawa myself for Rolling Thunder when he placed the wreath placed a wreath on the War Memorial to reclaim the War Memorial. They did the same thing to him, and he suffers various ailments, and they kind of roughed them up. They threw them in it was cold. They threw them in a cruiser and then dropped them off in the middle of nowhere. That must be the MO for the Ottawa police. But it's amazing. Did you hear about that, Josh?
Yeah, I believe that was Chris Deary. That's what they did that a lot with a lot of the people I know from the convoy. I actually didn't get arrested at the convoy. I was, well, some of my crew was detained on the other side of the bridge in Gatineau, and yeah, I didn't end up getting arrested that day, but I know a lot who did, and a lot of them said they were driven away and dumped with like their phones were dead because of the cold, and they had like they didn't know where they were. But yeah, that seems to be a pretty common pattern for them.
Yeah, this is the truth, ladies and gentlemen, that you won't hear on CBC or in the mainstream media. This is actual things that really happen. I just want to, I brought up Christian as a speaker, and just hold on, Christian. Christian is another young adult that is fighting this tyranny, I believe, in the Burlington area. Friends with our friend Michael Batter, the PPC candidate. Christian, have you got any questions for either Kamil or Josh?
Yeah, thanks for having me up. I was going to join this space a little bit ago. I just got out of a midterm though, so I do have one question for. Well, I don't really have anything for Kamil. Him and I know each other pretty well. I do have one question for Josh though. Your story has been very the persecution that you've gone through for stating. I mean, you know, reality facts. I guess you could say biological reality is insane, especially at a Catholic school where you'd think they'd uphold such principles. But I guess one question I would have for you is what, because I've heard a lot about your group Save Canada. I'm kind of curious what the goal is with that group and like what you're planning to do with that. That's kind of my main question.
Yeah, I was just mentioning this earlier. We're just a bunch of young people doing our best to have our voices heard. We understand fully well that our generation is under attack by the woke mob or the globalists or whoever it may be, but we're just doing our best to get our voices heard and exercise our freedoms, because freedom taken for granted is always lost. So I think it's very important that young people stand up, because it really is our futures. That's the only thing we have to lose at this point. So we're doing our best to lead by example and stand up and inspire others to do so as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Let me stick my head in here just for a sec, Christian. Just a little bit of room maintenance stuff. We're gonna have to retweet the room there again, guys. The other thing I want you to do, if you do have a significant Facebook following or etc., what you can do is you can take the link. Don't share it as a tweet. Just go and copy the link. Do whatever, or you can even go to Zinc's. Zinc's basically broadcasting, I think, on Facebook, YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble. Take those links. Try to frig around here so that we can get this message out. This is the new media. In case anyone is new to the party, we're working around the MSM. It's going to require freedom fingers to do that kind of thing. So we're going to have to do a little bit of extra work. Yes, it's irritating. I know, copying links, Facebook Lives, all that stuff. But we need to get this message out. So I just wanted to sort of re-illustrate that. And then back to you, Christian. Keep on going back and forth, you and Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I have to completely agree with what Josh said right there. Like at me as an individual, I'm helping. I guess you could say I'm working with the People's Party of Canada. I'm helping them to create their youth branch of their federal party, which is a really big initiative that I'm taking on with a couple other people. I think the last time a federal party established a youth branch was in 2006 with the Greens. So this is something that hasn't happened in a very long time, that you've had a major or you've had a major political figure establish such an institution. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with him. I think at the end of the day that like-minded young people, irrespective if we have like minor contentions on specific issues, we all generally, especially young right-wing individuals, we generally see the same social ills and issues with state and corporate and corporate entity. And I think it's really important that we come together, we consolidate and aggregate one another to fight against these fight against all the insane shit that's happening in the world. Yeah, I completely agree with what he said.
Thank you, Christian. And now here's another young adult that's working hard to save us all. We need more people like Kamil, Christian, and Josh. These are strong young men that are out there in the public fighting this battle for freedom, for justice. A little bit of roommate is here again. I see we have a couple requests. People that may have come in late to the show here, but we're not at the point in this where we're going to have open mics. So just hang on. We will get to you, but we're not handing out mics at this point in time. We will, but just hang on tight. We've got a little bit of things we want to take care of first. So I want to go back to Josh for a minute. Josh, you mentioned you have a legal team, and there are some petitions that are going around. I would like you to talk a little bit about that for a second, and maybe we can help you out. So go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, I have a bit of a connection with Liberty Coalition Canada right now. James Kitchen is their legal advocate, and he's representing me right now, and we are taking my high school to the Human Rights Tribunal. So there's a petition you can sign, which also includes a optional donation link, and that is you can find that at libertycoalitioncanada.com. And yeah, the only other fundraiser really is for my personal organization, which is Save Canada. You can like you were saying earlier, you can get a hat or buy some merch, or there's also a Give Send Go on there. But that's at savecanada.army.
Okay.
Can we get that link up in the nest there? Can someone that knows that thing, or maybe Josh, you can do that. Let's get that Give Send Go up and running. Anybody that's a friend of his. This is front runner stuff, guys. We've got to. This isn't a game about getting money. Okay. The way that this has been played out is clear. I think the way that we illustrated tonight, no one was out there to start a Give Send Go, start a YouTube channel about their, preferences on, et ceteras, and to get affiliate links. But I think that us figuring out how to leverage these rooms. The other thing is, if you do have 10,000 followers on Facebook, whatever, get these links out there, get the Facebook lives, get the retweet of this room going. This is called Freedom Fingers. And it's, we're watching the metrics on the streams, guys. And this should be front page news in Canada. I mean, we're not trying to pump our own horn here, but like we've already illustrated today, this young feller here is going to be on Tucker Carlson tomorrow, and this stuff is going to blow up worldwide. Let's give him a head start. Let's go. I mean, this is the media war that they're fighting here, right? We don't get coverage in the mainstream media. This is completely downtrodden. So I just want to encourage people to actually do the actionables that they can do. And for people that can't do that, they have 200 followers. Well, that's super appreciated too. But let's get this Give, Send, Go stuff up there. This isn't I can find the link if Josh wants to DM it to me. I think I'm following him or whatever, but get it to one of us, or you can do it yourself. I mean, it's whatever. The point here is that if we don't start getting politically active and start putting energy into the pot here, we're going to find ourselves in a slow boil pot. And I'm really pleased with the level of conversation. I just have to say this: TR6, excellent room. All the guys here, excellent job. Let's keep her going. Back to you, TR6.
So Think gave me the link to that, so I'm sticking it up in the NIST now. Thanks to that. Think about this. Thanks for sending me that link. So it should be up in the NIST now.
That's great. Yes. You know, we've been running spaces, and I see there are some other spaces hosts in the room here, and we talk for hours and hours about you know, what's going on in the world, what's going on in Canada, and we're always trying to talk about solutions. Okay, here we have 3 young men that are making things happen. And Kamil, he fought the battle, and I would say he won the battle. He, at great risk to himself, he sounds like he took a year off school. He's a year behind, chose not to get vaccinated. I chose not to get vaccinated. I think maybe a lot of people in this space chose not to get vaccinated for whatever reason. Many had to get it to keep their job. And Kamil got a year behind, stood strong against the mask mandates, and he won. He endured, and he won. Good on you, Kamil, that you're going to go through to be a lawyer. I think the experience that you went through and being triumphant, we need more young men like you to go into law, to be lawyers, because it seems that the law profession today has been compromised, and we need young people like you in those positions that can fight for what's really important. And good on you, Kamil. Christian, what you're doing with the PPC party, that's amazing. I wasn't aware of that. My friend Michael Batter told me about you. And so that's why I brought you up into the speaker position to tell a little bit about your story. So solutions, right? And here we have Josh, 16 years old. And ladies and gentlemen, you heard his story, what he's done. He has, I mean, you're standing 8 feet tall, Josh, for what you've done. I'm so proud of you. Wish we had a million more like you. And we're here to support you. And this is solutions. He's boots on the ground, doing what many will not do. So that link is up in the nest there. I would ask for the people in the space here to reach into your pocket and help this young man out. Lawyers aren't cheap, and sounds like, Josh, you've got a little bit of a battle in front of you. And I know I will go up there and shoot a couple bucks your way to help you out, because you're doing the work that many won't. And with that, Kamil, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to obviously salute Josh. I know we had a chance to speak previously, but what he's doing is incredible. Like I could never imagine myself at 16, standing tall, being a man, even though a couple years away. I mean, sorry, no profanity. You're a heck of a lot closer than I would say most of the men in our society. So big props to you, and also to Christian. I mean, what Christian does can't be understated. I know him pretty well now personally. I mean, he played such a big role in getting these mandates at least at Laurier and other universities dropped. Organized that protest with me. Like, so just to give Christian some more love. he plays a big part in this. He's going to be on the forefront of any change we do see in this country.
Thank you, Kamil. Kelsey, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, TR, I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. You got the floor.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you so much for putting this space together tonight, TR and gentlemen. It's good to see you, old friends. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. First and foremost, I just really want to acknowledge your parents. If they are listening, well done, Mom and Dad. I am sure I can speak for many of us in this room tonight. This has not been an easy road, and navigating this has been super challenging. Raising children is hard enough as it is, so let alone during these past 3 years. So my heart goes out to you all. Secondly, to you young men, and this message isn't just from me, but from my team at Acres of Truth, Richard and Dave, who couldn't be here as they're in a meeting. They're both the vice president and president of Unified Grassroots in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. We offer our full support of what you have been doing by standing up for what is right, not being afraid to call out what is wrong. It shows the integrity of your morals and values and courage, and many should look at this as an example. Be proud of standing up, Josh, to you for your instincts to want to protect our young female population from the potential for abuse from predators. My daughter was 14 years old when she was groped by a young male abuser in a public swimming pool facility in Lloydminster, Alberta. This has impacted and affected her trust in males to this day. That being said, I'm here to be a voice for her tonight. I've discussed this with my almost 21-year-old girl who is wide awake. She's too shy to come on here and quite frankly doesn't even use social media. But she and I have spent a lot of time discussing how and what the youth are able to do in this freedom movement. So she brought up that the Gen X generation is one of the most important generations in that demographic in this battle. And that once it comes down to your generation, you're greatly outnumbered. And she brings up whether or not you think there is a safe way to go forward as youth in this movement, knowing the repercussions of standing up against this and knowing that we, this is in her words, as in the youth, are greatly outnumbered. Where do you see being able to safely express yourselves while being safe from being belittled and or excused from society? Where can we be safe to figure things out inside this freedom movement, keeping in mind the level of infiltration that we have seen? And lastly, do either of you have a plan to take any of this further? And if so, how so? And Christian actually kind of posed that question. Thank you very much for the mic, TR.
Thank you, Kelsey. That was well said. Josh, Christian, or Kamil, jump in.
Okay, I'll go first here. At least for me, I don't feel like there's any unsafe space to be able to freely speak my mind. Obviously, without enticing any sort of violence, remaining within the boundaries of the law. But look, I mean, I don't know what my plans are after law school per se. I'm sure politics will cross my mind. We'll see. But at least for me, the most important thing when trying to hold on to our rights, and specific for me, that I think this all comes down to our freedom of speech. Something that's been stepped all over and spit on over the past decade, or maybe more, as long as I've been cognizant of this kind of stuff. I think there's a few things. Obviously, first you gotta educate yourself and those around you about how important free speech is, and our freedom to express ourselves, whether it be religious or simply our wildest dreams. We need to be in a place that promotes this kind of behavior, this kind of environment, that we shouldn't be afraid to speak our minds. And you said it perfectly. I mean, especially growing up in this system, you get, and Josh spoke on this earlier as well. You get almost pitted against by the staff that disagree with you, and that trickles down. And some may argue vice versa, but I think it starts with the staff, especially when you're in grade school. If the staff has a bone to pick with you, I mean, they're old enough. You're only a 12-year-old kid. You don't know how to deal with that, how to manage that. So look, I mean, it's about educating kids while they're young, that they have this inalienable right, this freedom of expression. And secondly, you got to speak out and exercise that right. Whether it be on social media, I mean, it's a powerful tool, and it goes both ways, right? Like you see how elections can get interfered with, how people can get censored, but social media it's a powerful tool, and forming these alliances like we have, I think is crucial. It's crucial, and it can't be understated how important it is that we have. I'm guessing in this space right here, and this isn't even the biggest space, right? Like we have people from every province in the country that do feel this way. Knowing that we're not alone, right, and holding the government accountable. More importantly, when these rights get infringed, we need to be the first to speak out. Because if no one speaks out, I mean, indifference is just as bad as being on the wrong side. In my mind, if you're not speaking out, you're not doing anything. You're counted as someone on the other side. So as long as we educate ourselves, we exercise these rights, we form these alliances. Look, I'm not ready to give up or lose hope. I'm ready to fight for this country. Like, and I know Josh and Christian feel the exact same way. It's about exercising these rights and educating people. If we've been tricked into thinking that we don't have a voice, or our voice is, less important because we don't have the same views as 30% of the country. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and we need to stand tall, and save face, keep hope. Um, I'm not going anywhere. I know guys like Josh and Christian aren't either. Um, it's really about fighting, really, and not violently. Just standing up for what's right, and what our rights are.
Well said, Kamil. I don't know about the rest of you in this space, but listening to these young men speak, and how well they speak, it is amazing to me. You three people are going to go far in life. I can see that. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's go to Josh and then Christian right after that. Let's sort of get the youngsters, as they were. I would call them youngsters, but of course that I like the better term, young men, because that's actually where we're at in the turn here. And of course, our ageism is showing itself. But yeah, much respect, as you said, TR6. Let's get Josh's take on that, and then Christian's take, and then we'll just keep on sort of round robining here. I've got a bunch of questions, but I just like the organic nature of what's going on. So let's get Josh's take on what Kamil just laid down, and then we'll go to Christian right after that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Kamil on that one. I know that in history, people our age were out winning wars. Um, the powers that be understand that we are their threat, and we aren't violent. All we have to do is speak and exercise the freedoms that previous generations bled and died for. All we have to do is exercise it and maintain it. You wouldn't think it'd be that difficult a task, but when people used to be jumping out of trenches into gunfire, and they'd do that proudly for their country, and now we have a generation that's too weak and docile to voice their opinions in a classroom format. Like it's pretty disgraceful. But I just continue to encourage young people to speak up. Like Camille said, we're not going anywhere. I'm not stopping anytime soon. I doubt Christian is, and I doubt Camille is either. We're here to stay, and we're going to voice our opinions and voice our beliefs, and we might not always agree exactly the same thing, but that's the beauty of our country. We can have different opinions, and associate differently, and it's important that we do so and we exercise that. And moving forward, we just need to continue to encourage young people, most importantly, young people to speak up and stand up and not be afraid to take risks. Our society is built to keep people addicted to devices, like whether it be pornography or video games or even their phones and devices and all this vain stupidity that the world has to offer. It's a distraction, and it's numbing our society, and it's time we start embracing more traditional ways.
Yeah, and to your point, Josh, don't forget that a lot of youngsters BS'd their age to sign up for World War One in Canada and World War Two. There were youngsters that were so eager, and that, you know, virtuousness of trying to get towards something. I'm not saying that it's not untoward towards media itself, right? Because in the same way that the virtuosity of perhaps in those clearer times that media was a part of that, media is also a part of this problem, right? And that's why I'm calling for retweets. That's why I'm calling for people to share it on their Facebooks and stuff like this, because if we don't realize this is a media war and that the virtuosity, we're not calling people to war here, we're calling people to think. And every day we're winning. And when we win those people, it's a one-way street. When you come to our side, who comes to our side? You know, the virtuous signaling, let's say people that are pro-vac, and it's not really even about pro-vac, but, you know, when they get vaccine injured, where do they end up? They end up in our rooms. And we welcome with open arms, and we try to find solutions, and we just keep on. And it's not even about vaccine; it's about your choice to do vaccine. It's about, you know, so we're in this like weird dichotomy where, you know, in my opinion, the vaccine at this point is just the biggest psyop weapon that we've ever seen. So it's not really about that what we're talking about here, but again, it is all of this stuff is weaponized, and the media itself is weaponized against us. So we're going to be very, very careful and employ our critical thinking. And then once we get to critical thinking stage, we have to be strategic thinking. How are we going to win the hearts and minds? It's really a hearts and minds war. So with that, I think it's a perfect segue into Christian. Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much of a contention with what Kamil and Josh said, but I mean, from an individual standpoint, for me, it's like I really don't have anything to fear. I got God and I got my convictions on my side, and I mean, I'm an empiricist as well, so I operate off of a condition of facts and evidence. And it's funny, with my involvement with the People's Party, I've been able to get an inside peek on kind of like the statistical view of political opinions within Canadian society. And if you look at young men, like our generation, our demographic, we are slowly becoming the most, right wing, I guess, group of people in the country. And that's really fundamentally the goal that I want to. That's one of the things that I want to tackle with the Young Leaders Forum that we're the youth branch that I'm helping to create with some others. I want to be able to get these kids out of their shells, get them comfortable with speaking their convictions and their minds, making them understand that they really don't have anything to fear, and getting people organized, getting people, aggregating them together to hit the streets and, push back against a lot of the insanity that we see in this world. And when I see kids like Josh and what he's doing to save Canada, man, it's like, I want to see kids like that bloom as much as possible. And I'm gonna love to see you and how you develop over time. I think you're going to be a huge figure within the within youth politics, especially within Canada, maybe even North America. And I'd love to collaborate with you in the future. I mean, like, another point of inference that I have is like with what me and Kamil did. Like, him and I just had the coincidence of going to the same university. I mean, we would have never met each other otherwise if it wasn't for the really brave and ingenious act of civil disobedience that he did in order to push back against these policies. And we got together, we put our brains together, we organized an event. We got a lot of people to hit the streets. We got a lot of professors out there to speak their minds and to push back against these policies. And a week later, the mandates got dropped at Laurier. So there really is a power to organizing people, getting them together, getting them out of their shells, making them understand that they don't have anything to fear. And if they have facts and evidence on their side, then especially they don't have anything to fear at all, because they're not just upholding their convictions, they're upholding the truth and reality. So that's really the most important thing for me. It is upholding truth and reality and upholding one's convictions.
Well, again, back to perceptions and the media, right? This is a media perception war. This is a psyop that we're in, guys. And if we don't start leveraging Facebook followers, this and that, and doing all those freedom finger things, we're going to get ourselves in a quagmire, because this isn't requiring, like, you're not lifting 50 pounds. You're literally just, doing the copy and pasting, copy pasta to get us to where we need to go. So good points, Christian. I like what you laid down there. Josh, I did have a specific question to you, because I have been monitoring the situation with you. Elon Musk responding to your tweet. How hilarious was that? And just run us down to as a young feller in Canada, basically in the backwoods of the world. Just maybe run us through that down a little bit, and then we'll probably get some speakers up to ask you a few questions, but or anybody else on the panel. But I thought that was the most hilarious observation of the last little time zone here. Any do you want to run us down through how that went down and what how it went for you?
Yeah, that did make me chuckle. Just being in high school, social dynamics are pretty petty, and there'd always be just the geeky kids that, like I said, they're addicted to their video games or whatever, their vices. I like to call it digital castration, but these my peers would always mock me and tell me to get a life, or just to let it go, or that I was a nobody, or the common term fringe. It was pretty funny when the people from their little world of technology started to talk about me as well, and the people they'd see on the media, or that they'd actually have time for, and I'd started getting messages and stuff just from that Twitter, like that Elon Musk tweet there. There's a few different ones, him and Jordan Peterson, and a few more of the larger influencers that had mentioned me. It started to get a bit of reaction from peers, and they're all all of a sudden they were all so polite and nice, and it was just, you see how fake people are and how petty they are. But yeah, it was pretty neat to have Musk speak out.
Did he DM you too, or what?
No, it was just, I mean, let's be real, he lives on Twitter, so it wasn't that big a deal that he saw my case, but he just sent I think he just had that one interaction.
Yeah, I did see that. Just a sec, Wog. We are slowly moving into the more open portion. We have handed out a couple mics. But before we get to that, the first one in the nest is Josh's site. I would ask that we got about 150 people in here. I would ask that everybody go up there, hit that, and retweet it to get it out. And then that will put it on your timeline, and then you can go back later, go in there, and if you so choose to support Josh, you can throw him a couple bucks. These three young men are our future, right? We all have kids. I have kids and I have grandkids. So these guys are fighting for them. So a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there to help Josh out in his battle, in his lawsuits, will go a long ways. And I do want to ask also that you hit the little blue bubble there in the bottom right-hand corner. It will bring up the space, and like it and retweet it, so we can hopefully get some more people in here, because this is very important to hear this message and get the word out to people. And I would ask you also to do that. And for those that requested a mic earlier and we denied them, it's because we weren't ready at that point in time. So please come back and request. When we do go to the hands, I see a couple hands up there now. Please keep it short. I don't want to get into a bunch of rebuttal. The way it'll work is ask your question or whatever to whoever you want to, and then we will bring you down and bring somebody else back up. So, Wog, I see you've got your hand up. Go ahead, Wog. And Mike, you're awful quiet tonight.
I was going to throw it to Mike there in a sec here. First thing I want to say is I got a couple questions for the young fellers here again. The other thing is, don't forget there is a Twitch stream going with questions. There is the comment box down below. We're monitoring those and monitoring for good questions. And guys, if you're an unknown quantity to us, the likelihood of us bringing you up as a speaker is probably 0 to 0. We just don't want to get we're not getting into the weeds here tonight. So if you do have a question, put it in the comment box if you're an unknown quantity. The other thing is that what I would like to do is I would like to go round robin. I think your mic's open there, TR6. I'd like to go round robin a little bit for the young fellers here, just the three young guys here. And I'd just like to go around the circle and just sort of say, like, the question is this, is like, where are we at here? If you were going to measure the temperature, like generally, you don't need a specific percentage, but you can always throw out a percentage. Where are we at here? 50% woke, 70% woke. Where are we at with the critical thinking? I mean, you guys get what I'm laying down here. Just sort of quick observation. It's 90% woke in my high school or my college or my whatever, my peer group. But I would like to sort of get a temperature taking of the youth, right? Because you guys are a rarity in our rooms, and we really want to get you guys I want to get a temperature taking, because it looks like we got a high school guy, we got Kamil in college, and I'm not sure where Christian is at. But let's go round robin on that. So let's start with Kamil. And I've already asked him this question in another room there a few months ago, but. I guess like the first question for Kamil would be like, where are we at now, and was there a change to the last time that we interviewed you? And then let's sort of make a baseline of where you were at a few months ago, or not necessarily woke, but you guys know what I mean, like whatever we're talking about here. Okay, so go ahead, Kamil.
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke and give you a real temperature, but I'll stick with percentages here. Yeah, like where we were at, 4 months ago ish when we last spoke. I don't think it's changed too much. I think also I've lived in like 2 different microcosms. Laurier is an exceptionally woke institution. Signs on in front of every single bathroom saying, yeah, basically come on in, whoever you are. The student population there is like, they're like hyenas.
Well, that's a valid distinction, right? So let's make that distinction, because then you just see this crowdsource, how the power of this crowdsource goes. Let's say like your school institution and then your peer group. Let's get those 2 percentages, because I think that's a valid observation. Very good, Mr. Young lawyer there. I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, I was gonna like contrast that with high school. Like at my high school in Toronto, it was, we'll say, like 5%, like 10%. They did damage, right? Like they were having murals from the 1950s painted over because they were, sexist or whatever. Like we're talking like that famous like redhead lady holding a tray of cookies. There was like a painting, like an original from the 50s in my high school, and they got it painted over. But yeah, so the 5% in my high school did enough damage, not enough to notice them. But at Laurier, I know it's less or more depending on where you go, but Laurier is like, I know it's an astonishing number. I think it's a tipping point, but like 25% of the kids there like will full on praise the say Marxist ideologies. Like I've had kids in some of my philosophy classes praise the Communist Manifesto. I think that should be a crime. But I'm not done law school yet. So again,
well, have you heard the illustration of that of a professor that then did the full Communist Manifesto where everyone gets marked towards the work there?
No, what do you mean?
Well, what happens is that it's you guys, you really believe in Marxism, so you don't need to do anything, therefore you can ride. So then what happens is that the top percentage of people that are doing the hard work, and then the middle percentage that are doing like general work, and the low hanging fruit that aren't doing any work, what happens is that, well, we'll just ride along the average because we're actually averaging out. And then what happens is, as the term progresses, the upward movers aren't getting any recompense, so they stop working so hard, and then the middle ones are like, well, I can just ride out the bell curve here and just ride onto the thing, and the lower guys are like super happy because they get moved up immediately. But then after you play it out for 6 months, everybody's failing, and then so I'll send you a link to the study, but it's basically like the quickest one semester illustration of how communism or Marxism works. But I will send you the study, but it's quite hilarious because at first you can sort of ride on the average and the upper, but then the upper don't get recompensed, and then they go down, and as the upper goes down, the mean goes down, and then everyone fails. So that's the short of it.
Right. I was going to say, at least Thomas Hobbes, when he talks about the Leviathan and the social contract, at least he admits that there's nothing you can do about free riders. That's my the stark contrast. But yeah, so back to the question. Look, I mean, out of my friend group, I would say zero. Like nobody's woke. I have some of my buddies still like engage with me on like the vaccine and stuff, and I have a couple buddies like still getting boosters, but to each their own. I'm not here to tell them what to put in their bodies. I'm here to tell them potential risks of putting said thing in their bodies. But look, at the end of the day, I'm not the Gestapo here. Everyone's free to do what they want above the age of 18, or 19, depending on what it is. But yeah, Laurier's it's a weird place. Like I wish everyone in here could come and visit one day, do a little field trip over to the campus. But like my friends, honestly, a lot are just indifferent. A lot of people just, put the mask on because they don't want any trouble or whatever, or got the vax because they wanted to stay in school. And it's a lot of indifference, at least at Laurier. And I can't say it's too different from the other universities I have friends at or that I visited. But yeah, to give you like a rough number, we'll say 25%. And like if that doesn't sound starkingly high to anyone here, like think about the implications of having a quarter of your student body just completely unhinged, and I don't even want to say unhinged, just really far left, very progressive, and I think it's scary, and I think that is the tipping point. I don't think we can afford to allow the youth to continue down this path by feeding them crap along their way through school, like starting in grade 4, 3, whenever they teach sex ed now. Starting then, like there needs to be I'm a big proponent of this, like, or advocate for this. We need to do something about this curriculum. I mean, whether it be for elementary school kids or whether it be the high school or or university college students, something needs to be done about this. I mean, I'm taking a third year philosophy course at Laurier called Climate Change and the Social Contract. And this is because they don't offer any other third year courses that don't have time conflicts with my fourth year courses. Like, something needs to be done about this, right? Like, I think
let me lend this to you, because I have a youngster in school, and thank you for that point. I've asked, so I inquired. I said, "What's going on here?" I've got an elementary child here, and I inquired to I just have ins in the, well, like you guys know, I'm a little pokey nosy, so I go pokey nosy, and then I wonder where is this coming from. So then luckily she stuck her nose in. She said, "Well, what's going on in the school?" And then the school said, "It comes from the district." And then she actually, to her credit, and she's super woke or whatever, and it doesn't really matter about where she's coming from, but so then she poked her nose in further. It's like, well, it doesn't come from the school, it comes from the district. It doesn't come from the district, it comes from provincial. Doesn't come from provincial, comes from federal. Okay. So what we got out here is called SOGI 123. And I don't want to get all into that stuff, because again, we're going to get mired into the woods. But so basically, you're in your friend group, it's 0. In Laurier, it is what?
A quarter
are super woke.
Yeah. Like,
and that's all they need to push this stuff, and that's all they needed to push all the other stuff. Yeah, so that's awesome. Okay, let's go quickly around the circle here. So we're going to go to Christian, and then Josh, and then we'll get to the hands. So thank you for everyone's patience, but this is one of the key factors, I think, that we need to lens here. So go ahead, Christian, and just give us a little idea of where you're at. Like, are you post high school, college age, but not going to college?
I think he's at Sir Wilfrid Laurier with Kamil.
I'm a first year Wilfrid Laurier. Camille's a fourth, so that's how we know each other. He was doing his acts of civil disobedience. I saw it recommended to me on Twitter, and I reached out to him, and we've known each other ever since, which was probably October or November of last year. But yeah, I would have to agree with what Kamil said. It does seem about a quarter of this school's population is very radical in their ideology, definitely more left-leaning radical in their ideology. But there's a couple things that he forgot to mention too, like some of the other crazy shit. Oh, pardon me. Some of the other crazy stuff that has happened at Wilfrid Laurier. I'll give one example here, and you guys are gonna love this one. There are Government of Canada funded posters in the school, and guess what they depict on them? They depict it's a little infographic. Actually, it's not little; it's a very large poster. But they're these large infographics that detail the risk of monkeypox. I swear to God, I'm not even kidding. There are posters all over the school that say, "Are you afraid of the spread of monkeypox? Know the signs, know the symptoms." And the government, taxpayer dollars went towards putting those up within Wilfrid Laurier. So that's kind of the level of, I guess, craziness that the school is operating from. Another thing, too, I would say is that a lot of the kids at the school, they hold, and this is, again, what I'm saying before, I'm trying to get people to break out of their shell, but I would say there's a good chunk of kids who are either politically indifferent, they don't really think about this kind of stuff, or they don't really care. That's one thing, but there's another group of kids, too, that are aligned with us. They agree with more right-wing principles and ideals, but fundamentally, again, they have this kind of neurotic fear to them where they think there will be some sort of social repercussion if they speak out. And when I meet kids like this, and they kind of tell me the truth, and they spill the beans to me about their beliefs and how they agree with me and stuff like that, and they're thankful for kids like me and Kamil, I just say to them, it's like, well, look at me. Me and Kamil did all this stuff. We organized events. We did this, that, and the third, and nothing has happened to us yet. And I understand too. If you know the history of Wilfrid Laurier, you would know about incidences like Lindsay Shepherd, where she was a TA back here many years ago who almost got kicked out of the school because they had this zeitgeist was basically hexed against her for playing a TVO clip in class of Jordan Peterson and some faculty tried to get her removed for that. So there is I think that's the thing, is that at this school, I will agree that there is that 25% that is radical, but there's also a culture of fear that they've created here that I don't think you'll see. It's very unique. That's kind of the uniqueness that Kamil was touching on. There's this very unique culture of fear that I don't, even for other schools that are much more radical in ideation.
Fear of what though? What would he fear?
Well, of repercussion of having what Lindsay Shepherd happened to her. I mean, she had, just like Kamil. I mean, Kamil obviously for much different reasons, but she had basically a year of her education stolen from her because of this nonsensical political nonsense.
Was Jordan Peterson, did he was he a professor? Like, which school was he a professor
No,
at?
so this is well, oh, you don't know the Lindsay Shepherd story. Well, I guess the short way to describe it would be that there was a TA there named Lindsay Shepherd. One day in class, she played a TVO clip of Jordan Peterson with the whole Bill 16 thing. I think many people in here have seen that video of him going to the House of Commons and debating against Bill C-16. She played that video in class, and what happened was that a HR staff member made false allegations of students coming to them reporting that she was making an unsafe educational environment by playing that material. There was basically one guy who was, he had an ideological disagreement with her, and he was trying to screw her over essentially by throwing her through the ringer of the red tape of the school and the whole the judicial review process that the school's created. And there was a whole controversy around that. And many people.
So just to fast forward it until we don't get into the weeds. I know exactly what you're talking about. So she recorded the interaction between her and her superiors at the school, and then maybe you can take it from there.
Yeah, so that superior, I don't think that one specifically, but another superior that was
but you need you're not lensing it.
Okay, I'll lens it. Right? I mean, essentially what happened was that she was thrown through the ringer, and the school found her. The school found eventually through an independent investigation that she did nothing wrong. So
the interview, like, to paraphrase the interview, I'm just trying to help you along your way here. Okay. So
yeah.
I'm completely familiar with that. I just didn't know the names and stuff. So what happened is that then she recorded her interaction with the administrators of the school, at which point she said, well, at what point did I cross the line? It's like, well, you didn't cross the line, but you offended someone. It's like, well, I offended someone. This is an academic institution, la la la. And next thing you know, the wokest threw her out. Essentially, I'm just sort of skipping over a bunch of stuff, but
I go on. That's my one fault as an individual. I go on tangents a lot. I apologize for that. But essentially, the whole point I'm trying to extrapolate here from that situation is that there's a very unique culture of fear at the school. There's been a precedence at this institution of higher ups weaponizing their authority to basically hurt and quell political dissidents and ideological dissidents. That's what I'm trying to say, essentially. But people like me and Kamil.
What is an academic institution but a funneling of thought? So just to get back to the actual question that was there, percentage of people in your personal thing that are woke versus your institutional thing or whatever thing you're in. So what's those two percentages?
Well, like I said, I agree with Kamil. I think 25% of Wilfrid Laurier would be woke. I think there definitely is a much higher threshold of academic
that's awesome.
Staff members who are
25% there, and in your personal life?
Oh, shit. I don't associate with anybody like that at all. I like to try to split bread with as many people as possible.
Well, what I'm getting at and why I'm lensing this conversation this way is that I'm asking a further question of people to say, what is the bigger picture here? And I'm really concerned about the bigger picture and the one missing component in these rooms. And there is some youngsters in the rooms that are eager to ask questions, but I guess like I'm trying to understand that bigger picture, because that bigger picture will allow us to sort of get a better lens on stuff. So the same question to Josh, what percentage of people woke in your personal life percentage in your academic life?
In my personal life, I would have to say it's probably 0%. It used to be a lot higher than that, but I'm done with that. So, yeah, I keep my circle small. But as far as the school goes, it's really hard for me to judge as I've spent very little time there, and I kind of keep to myself. But there is definitely a large woke population, at least in my high school. And the problem is there's probably a number similar to that would support me, but they don't have the same fire that the woke activists of the left do, the social justice workers. So I'd say
the group think, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to turn this back around and rotate around the circle, and then I'll go back to TR6 and go back to Hans here. But I'm looking for quick answers here, and I'm going to go back to Josh here. Solutions, Josh. How do we just do us to show the way? Is that the way? Do we, write Substacks, create a YouTube thing, create Elon Musk responding to your tweet? Like, what is the way forward towards sort of fixing, or at least showing that the other people that are the silent majority, like what you just alluded to, what is the way to illustrate to them that there is a path forward and such like that? And I think that probably you've already done that by just the mere waking up. Like, what other high school student has had a response from Elon Musk? And it's not because you're actually choosing, and I think this is one of the things that I'm just going to put these words in your mouth, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. No one chose to be a martyr here. No one chose to become. This isn't. You're not trying to become a YouTube star or etc. or a social media star. You're just trying to stand up for what you believe in, and then all of a sudden it gets traction, and then everyone's going, "What the heck's going on?" So, I guess the base question is, how do we turn this around and show people that there is a path forward? And that'll be to Josh, then we'll go back around to Christian and then Kamil.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for us to use is compassion. That's incredibly important. Dedication is important, and I found that has opened a lot of doors over time, and that young people are starting to wake up when they see how dedicated to the cause those of us who are.
Okay, Kamil or Christian, we got to keep this quick because we got to get to the hands.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
I go
we're
on a
doing.
rant. Again, as I said before, push back against this culture of fear, and I think primarily the best way to do that is to get to people, get them to understand that there really is nothing to fear at the end of the day. If, like I said, if you have facts, evidence, and logic on your side, if you have the ability to articulate and stand for your convictions, then you really have nothing to worry about. And also on top of that as well, getting people organized, getting them collectivized, getting them to come together. For example, like we saw with the Freedom Convoy, or even on a smaller scale, like me and Kamil did. Yeah, I think really that's the best way to go about all this. It's to get people together. It's to get them to unite. To get them to fight back against the clown world that we're living within. Everybody here, we're all getting affected by it.
I heard a great takedown earlier of against collectivization. It says, because we're all critical thinkers on this side, instead of trying to collectivize the right, which is not going to happen because we're all critical thinking in our own way, let's create allies. So that's it's sort of summing up what you just said. Kamil, go ahead, and then I'll throw it back to tier 6 after that.
Yeah, for me, education. I think if you look, I mean, take a playbook a page out of their playbook, but if you start educating people while they're young on how important it is to have rights and how realistically we don't have too much to cling on to in this world other than our freedoms and our rights. I mean, yeah, you can name family, there's tons of stuff, but really, I mean, maybe not tons. The list is limited. If you educate young, and I was talking about this, about the curriculums. Look, like, I was the proudest public school kid in probably the history of Ontario. Like, obviously I was fortunate growing up, but my question is, how do you want me to send my kids to public school in Canada, knowing what they're going to learn? Like if I would homeschool them at that point, right? I would have to unteach them everything they learn. So I think, look, curriculum education is so important, and like that's where I would start.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, we're going to move to the hands. We got quite a few hands. We are coming up to the top of the hour. The space has been going now for 2 hours, and lots of great stuff. Kamil, Christian, and Josh, I hope you're good to go a little bit longer. And with that, we'll please keep it quick. I think we got Bob, Don Lechuga, Dale, and then our good friend Michael. So go ahead, Bob.
Thanks, GR. Good evening, everyone. Great to see the young men in here. Kamil, I know we've talked before, but Josh and Christian, great to meet you guys. Josh, my question for you is, when you were talking about the school administration advising you that there were some people that were offended that you were, basically defending females to have their right to privacy in their own washroom. Did they ever consider how the females felt? And did you have any support from other female students in trying to, preserve and protect their God-given gender and their right to privacy, so that other males aren't stomping into their private area in their washroom? So did the school administration acknowledge, because since they're acknowledging the feelings of some people that are offended, did they ever acknowledge the feelings of the females that were offended by boys being in their private areas, in the washroom spaces?
So the school didn't show too much concern about female safety or feelings. They completely ignored my concerns, and they ignored the female student when she expressed them. So that was completely ignored. And there, as far as female students speaking out on my behalf, there haven't been many. Well, actually, there's been nobody who has done it publicly. There was one who did it anonymously, and I'm not surprised by that, and I also don't expect female students to have to do that. That's not their fight. They're the ones being wronged, and they shouldn't have to deal with this in the first place. As a young man, it's my duty to protect and provide, so that's what I'm going to do.
Right on. Thanks, Josh. Well, I just want to make a final comment, TR, that these young men stick together, hopefully through life. You guys have made a lifelong bond, support each other, and hope to hear from you guys again in the future. Josh, I'll definitely be sharing your Give, Send, Go, or your GoFundMe, whatever it is. I don't know which one it is. There's a couple of them here. It's what is it, guys? Give, Send, Go. I'm opening it.
There's a Give, Send, Go up there. I also put up his website there, savecanada.army as well too. Well, I think posted it, and then I shared it up there. So both.
Okay, thanks, Zink. And the reason for this, folks, again, is it's not so that Josh can go on a tropical vacation. It's for legal bills. We've got a 16-year-old young man here who needs our support in fighting the injustices here that are going on in our schools and in our societies. And Josh, I stand side by side with you, brother. Keep up the great work, and pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, and that bears repeating, Bob. Let's get that shared, guys. I've been monitoring the shares on that. It's 190 people and 6 shares, unaccountable. But I would say this: Josh is up $370 since we started this thing here. So this is how we're gonna do it, and this is how this whole fight is gonna go. TR6, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. My friend from New Mexico, Don Lechuga.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really don't have a question, but an observation. I am in the United States. I'm a retired federal law enforcement officer, and I sincerely mean what I'm about to say here. You gentlemen have more guts than most men your age will ever have. You are the future that your country desperately needs. Continue with what you're doing. And I mean that sincerely from the bottom of my heart. People that are listening from the United States would agree with me. And I keep up the good work, and thank you. Thank you very much for what you all are doing.
Thanks, Don. I think I said Michael Batter, and then we'll get to Dale. I may have got that wrong, but go ahead, Michael.
It's Dale's turn. Where you want to go, Dale? And I'll just sit down.
No, it's actually Hoag's turn. He's a youngster from the East Coast. There, he's a trusted unit there. So let's go to the youngster Hoag, and then we'll go to Dale, then Michael.
You see, now you know I have co-hosts.
Yeah, so basically, I'm a 20-year-old who's had my entire future stripped of me by having my entire grade 12 taken away from me by COVID lockdown. I'm just wondering what I can do in terms of activism to kind of make it right, do at least something for the country.
So that's a question to you youngsters. So let's start with Josh. What is the activism that we can do, Josh? And then we'll go Josh, Christian, Kamil, and quick answers only there. We don't want to go on and on.
Sorry, I missed the question. Was it activism for young people or just activism in general?
All right, so I am a 20-year-old man who basically had my entire end of grade 12 taken away by false COVID lockdowns, and then my entire chance to get into post-secondary taken away by vaccine mandates. I'm just wondering if there's anything I can do in terms of activism to help you all out.
I personally, I'm always looking to recruit young people, so send me a message actually. But if you're interested in pursuing the legal aspect of what happened to your education, consider reaching out to organizations like Democracy Fund or Liberty Coalition Canada has been funding me, and they all offered them to me, so they've got spots open. But yeah, send me a message.
I just need to cut in here for a minute. There is a young fellow that we want to hear from. Dylan, if you can hear me, please request a mic and I'll bring you up. I cannot see everybody that's in the space. There's 67 others that I can't see. So Dylan, if you hear me, just request a mic, I'll bring you up.
Yeah, and I would say to that, just to add on to what Josh just said to Hoag's question, I mean, the real reality here, guys, is this is going to be a legal pushback. And we all know that the reality of what's going to happen here is it's going to be an onslaught. And of course, the lawyers were completely silent during the time. So whatever, they're waiting for the status quo to turn. Well, now the status quo is turned. Get your lawyers up, get a give, send, go. Let's go. And you know what? You come into our spaces and we'll pump you. We've done it with other people, with other TR6, Mikey and Zinc. We've all done crowd fundraisers. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. I lost my job and all the rest of it. We raised $4,000 in like 3 hours. I mean, this is the power of what we're talking about with these things. But you got to be vetted. You got to make sure that you're not, some guy that just wants to buy a crack pipe and a Corvette. I mean, like obviously, but on the other end of the spectrum, I mean, we have the power here to crowdsource this stuff. Remember, guys, we have $20 million at our disposal. That's what scared the crap out of the government. During the trucker convoy, it wasn't just 10 million raised during the one thing that then got crapped out. It was the other one, and then that thing was going up. It was $500,000 a day. I mean, during the trucker convoy, it was $500,000 a day. Oh, it's funded by Russia. Oh, is it really? Well, some guy leaked where all the things went that they thought that was going to gonna feed us to show how much of a bunch of retards we were. Well, guess what it did? It showed that all of the stuff was coming from Canada. A small percentage was coming from exterior of Canada. It was not even. It was infinitesimal. It wasn't even measurable. So we have that war chest at our capability here, and we have that war chest. All Canadians are willing to give that same amount of money. Both of them got stymied, cut off, and all the rest of it. So we're sitting here. We have the capability of scaring the crap out of the political class. And already in Canada here, not to lens it just because I know there's lots of Americans in the room, but not to lens it here. But I'm just going to tell you, we have the power, and the power being the energy of our money, saying we can fund things that will overcome all kinds of. And once those lawyers smell the blood in the water, look at how many of them are circling around. All of a sudden, they've been silent for whatever. How many of them put it on retainer by the federal government? All the top lawyers have. Well, let's get a scrappy young lawyer that knows constitutional law, and let's go, because get ready.
Okay, so let's go, Wog. We got to get to these hands. Okay, so we're going to go fast action here. I see my friend Dylan from Ottawa here. There's another Dylan that is trying to come up from the United States. He's a young reporter, and I have not seen the request, and I do not see you in the space. So keep requesting a mic. As soon as we see it, we'll bring you up, and we're going to go rapid fire now. So we're not going to hear from the host much. We're going to go right to Dale and then Michael. Go ahead.
Quick question. Sorry. Can I just quickly respond to what Hoag was saying? Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, buddy, look, like, you got to keep your chin up. Just focus on yourself and what you can do right now. And focus on how you can grind to make up the time that was, I don't want to say lost, because trust me, I feel the same way, stolen. Don't be spiteful, be diligent. And the more powerful you make yourself, the bigger pain in the ass you can make it for the federal government down the road. So just focus on yourself. Make sure you achieve those goals that you had in mind. Don't let this stop you, seriously.
Oh yeah, man, I'm going full entrepreneur on this, and like going full philosophy and everything too. I can't let this keep me down, man.
Good.
It's just
Good.
a drop in the bucket.
Exactly. That's all I wanted to say. Keep your head up.
Great. Go ahead, Dale.
All right. Thanks, TR, Mike, and Wog for letting me speak and bringing these fine young men here. It's good to see that these young people are putting their life on the line. They're standing up for what's right and leading by example. It's really great to see. I have a little bit more of a comment and a question after that. My younger daughter, my oldest daughter, she's got a podcast now. Would love to have you guys on if you guys are interested. It's the Karis Project. Shoot DM to me or to her. It's great to see young people. She was asking me, well, where are the younger people? And now we got some. So I want to ask you guys, what is the biggest obstacle that you guys faced, standing up? What was the biggest barrier that you found at your schools in your situations?
We'll get the roti going. For me, and yeah, the kids were annoying, but you just gotta kind of push through that. I think that the most difficult thing was the teachers, or finding a way to toe the line without crossing it. But other than that, honestly, like, it's a lot easier to stand up in what you believe in than to not stand up at all, or stand up in something you don't believe in. Trust me, like, it really didn't. Looking back now, even in the moment, it didn't seem like a lot, and I did know the impact I was having, but it's never too late or too early to start standing up and having your voice heard.
Yeah, just to add on to what he was saying there, I would agree. It is definitely harder to live with knowing that you failed to speak up when you had the opportunity to do so. But to answer your question, I'd say the hardest thing is just to be able to like balance a respectful discourse while still trying to encourage other students to engage, because students are naturally rebellious and they want to rebel, but not all rebellion is good, so it's hard to balance it out sometimes.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Especially, I think, especially in a physical medium, doing stuff like this is something that can be really jarring for people. But one thing that I've found that has tried and tested for me, at least, is when you talk to people, if you treat them with the same kind of respect that you would want, things go a lot smoother. People have ideological contentions all the time, but I think respect is one key element as well. You need to stand firm in your convictions, and also, you know, have that decency of the other individual as well.
One final thing. I'll just have to say, hearing you guys speak makes me understand why I fought for what I did and what I went through. I want to hear more from guys like you. Keep going with the fight. God's with you guys.
Thank you, Dale. Michael, go ahead.
Thanks very much for putting this together, guys. And thank you, gentlemen, you young men, for what you're standing up for, having the courage and the passion, the energy. This is something unique. A lot of people are just so non-confrontational. And I'm so appreciative of the way you've been able to keep the edge. Like when you play hockey, it's like, oh, you got to be rough and tough a bit and get her out, but you don't cross the line and get in the box. So I'm really proud of that. And then I did want to speak out to anybody in the room too, especially the gentleman in the East Coast. There's a guy named Scott Speidel for PPC and Michelle Lindsay out there doing stuff. And that said, I wanted to remind everybody that yes, free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy, but Brian Peckford also reminded us that participation and community, those are things that me with kids growing up, I maybe should have gone to more school board meetings or paid a little more attention. I just wanted to coach kids and live my life, and that's the way it was, and I think that was a mistake. And I think that everybody should belong to some type of thing to connect them to the community. Some people like Action for Canada, Veterans for Freedom, then Josh's group, Save Canada. You can be in a couple groups, but I think Brian Peckford nailed it, and it goes right along with Kamil's. The number one thing is your freedom of speech. It's your voice. Everybody's voice deserves to be heard, and you have to have the courage to do it. And then the second thing there is the community, to go out and find it. So if you're in a chess club, great. That's great. You're connecting with people, and maybe you could make connections with that group. If you're in another group like Josh's, you're going to make some connections. And it doesn't mean you can't be in the chess group and Josh's group and be a PPC guy. There's people that are in multiple groups. They just love doing things to help out the community, from working at the bread bank. There's another place that you could make connections as well. So I'm really proud of you guys moving forward. And my question for you would be, have you been managing your contacts well enough so as you find your tribe, like-minded people, that you can connect with them once the mayhem's done of the event? Could the three of you answer how you've been doing your data collection to make sure that you get your followers and get in touch with them and make sure you can contact them back? So who wants to go first on answering that question?
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, it is. I found it difficult to manage that at the start. It gets a little bit overwhelming. I mean, for me personally, I got a lot of trolls and a lot of threats and messages and stuff. But I was fortunate enough to have a close network with Save Canada here, and we've been able to balance it out and manage it so far.
Kamil?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's important to be able to, you know, weed out important or valuable opinions from just another talking head. So yeah, like you're gonna get some pushback regardless of what side you're on. I just think it's important to power through and stay motivated, stay focused on what the task at hand is, what the goal is, and a lot of the negative or the negatives that are involved in you know standing up or being politically active, they really do go away. Obviously, Josh brought up a good point with support systems, and you know my buddies, my family, everyone was there cheering me on along the way. But I think staying focused on what you are trying to accomplish, um, I think that might be the, if not one of the most important parts.
Yeah, it's exactly what Camille said. You need to have that stick-to-itiveness within the realm of politics. If you don't have any commitment to your convictions, then things can get messy. So yeah, it's being clear-minded, it's being focused on your goals, having that stick-to-itiveness, and I think evidently at the end of the day, they will actualize if you have the proper people around you.
Thanks, guys. We're going to go to Esme, and then I see our friend Captain Red in here, and Captain Red was very helpful and influential to get this all put together. So big kudos to Captain Red, and she's been a hard freedom fighter working in the background, and I'm glad she's come up. But we're going to go to Esme first.
Well, good evening, everyone. I couldn't get in here until about about 45 minutes ago. I was at a meeting of the steering committee of Canadian Women's Sex-Based Rights, and we've been watching, Josh, what you're doing. Thank you. Cam, I'm an admirer of the work that you do as well, and Christian, thank you for speaking up as well. I just think it's so important we're all coming together. Wog mentioned, you know, allies. I talk a lot about natural allies. The reason I hang out in the freedom spaces so much is because I'm doing some cross-pollinating. It's just naturally the people who are reality-based want to question everything about the government and want to exercise our charter rights to free speech, freedom of association, you know, security of the person, all those wonderful things that our country stands for and that we have taken for granted, let's face it, until we were put to the test over the last 7 years. Okay, the last 3, I cover off the 2 issues of the bodily autonomy and women's sex-based rights. And the women's sex-based rights, for those who don't know, Canadian Women's Sex-Based Rights was formed almost 4 years ago. We launched, we started discussions in the summer of 2019.
Yeah, Esme,
yeah.
I hate to interrupt you, but have you got a question for them? This is more or less to...
What I want to do is I just want them to know that we are supporting them, that it is very important to get the men's voices. I've heard a lot of men's voices since I came in tonight, and that's very important. And I think that because this is a reality-based situation, it affects all of society. And so I don't have a question. I just wanted to pop in and give my support. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. And the stuff that Wog talked about at the start of this, when he read off all the 9 or 10 points about the gender
did you
and the
read
sexual...
the position statement? Is excellent. Yeah. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and that was provided by Esme, so thank you for that. I'm still looking for this young reporter from the United States. He's supposed to be in here again, but I still don't see him. I don't see a request. So not sure what's going on there, but
I'm hoping he's on a mobile device. I've been looking as well, so I haven't seen him. Fundamentally, young men, as Canadian citizens, you're guarding our charter rights and freedoms here, and that's the true power. And once you realize that, nothing's going to stop you guys fundamentally as a Canadian citizen, right? And use that as your power to get through this, because fundamentally, it's part of our freedoms.
Did Josh disconnect? Is he having connectivity issues?
Yeah, we're trying to get him back up here.
Oh man.
are you there, Helen? Captain Red Pill. I see. There she is.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm just like overwhelmed by all the connection and all the networking that we're doing. And I'm kind of absorbing it all because I know Christian and Josh, by the way. I'm the lady who gave you the business card and interacted with you very briefly when you were at the Christian Anderson Family Day event. And I'm just so thrilled that you were able to be here on Twitter Spaces with my favorite amigos. And it's been an interesting journey for me. And I'm so thrilled that I'm able to socially engineer a group in the background. I work very well in the background, and I'm just listening to you express your truth, and it resonates with me as a mom. And I'm so proud of you, all of you. Josh, you struck me immediately right in my heart, and I reached out to the three amigos, and I knew TR would love you right away. And Christian, I laughed because your profile picture is the picture I took of you standing with that flag all alone.
Thank you. Thank you for that photo, by the way. This is one of my favorite photos of me.
I know. So I sit back and I go, I'm a nobody. And as a nobody, I can make things happen. And it touches me very deeply because I have children. And my soft spot is you young people, because my days are limited. You will have to endure this bullshit. And I'm here to help you. Just reach out to me and I will make magic happen. I'm like your fairy godmother. And Josh, I did donate to your legal GoFundMe because I know that this is going to be tough. But the fact that you were able to have the strength to do this is so impressive, because sometimes I look at kids and I feel that we failed them. I mean, my kids are 29 and 30. I had 2 kids in 1 year, and I don't know what they went through during their education. But I guess I'm a bit shocked. I should be a grandmother, and if I had grandkids, I tell you, I'd be I'd be in I'd be telling my kids, I already know that if any of my kids have kids, they are not going to go to school. I'm going to be teaching my own kids, my grandkids, education, because I will be teaching them from my heart, not from any goddamn agenda. So I am so proud of Christian, Kamil, and Josh. It makes my heart so happy.
Now, don't start crying, Helen.
I was able to find Dylan there. Welcome up, Dylan Philem.
Hi everyone. Awesome space. Thank you for letting me come up here. I am currently a political activist here in the United States. I've written legislation for term limits in my state of Iowa, where I live. I have a lot of family up in Canada, and I care deeply a lot about your guys' country a lot, because I currently have retired grandparents that live in the farmland of Manitoba. So I just seriously got to commend like all three of you for fighting for what's right for Canada. Keep on fighting. And also Josh, Christian, and Kamil. I have a lot of connections for you guys, but seriously, I sent Josh and Kamil a DM. I need you guys to look at that because I can seriously help you guys out a lot. I have a connection up here, Polyev. Okay, just answer the DM. That's all. And whatever you think about this guy, I mean, guys, I have a friend who's connected to him, and guys, he has a lot of good policy proposals that would it's basically Trump policies in Canada that would shift your country right back into action. So you guys need those policies back in place. And also, have you guys thought of term limits, all three of you, for prime ministers? I just thought I'd ask that.
100% I have. I definitely think there should be term limits.
Who's that last name? Sorry.
That's
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Filion.
Yeah, I personally haven't. I don't know if anyone else can touch on that.
I definitely have thought of term limits up in Canada. I mean, the prime minister, yeah, I mean, ministerial term limits, I think would make sense. I think that how it goes is that the routine
I will
essentially,
get in touch with you.
the routine up here is every 4 years. There's kind of a constitutional, not really an amendment, but more of a convention in which every 4 years about the prime minister will hold an election. But there's a lot of career politicians up here, and I think that definitely has a detrimental effect on how our democracy operates and the efficiency of it. So yeah, 100%, I'm all on board with the term limits.
And also, I was gonna say, so I got a question. Are you guys a full-on democracy, or are you guys a constitutional republic? Because here in the United States, we're considered a constitutional republic. A full democracy would be determined by the popular vote.
I guess the best way to put it is that we're not a constitutional
I don't think
republic.
we're either of those things.
It's a constitutional monarchy.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a liberal
system. And
yeah, it's
the way that
Camille, can you hear Christian there?
We can just like the senators, quote unquote, are just appointed. Yeah, like I think we're far from a democracy personally.
Okay, yeah, I just want to sneak in here for a little bit. I don't want to turn this into a political debate, Dylan. Our political system is drastically different than yours, and we can just leave it at that. And I want to move on to the hands. Go ahead, Dale.
All right, thank you, TR. I just wanted to extend an offer for any help or support for any of you young men that are going on with your fight. I have a little bit of experience in that sort of area. You can pick my brain. I'll give you whatever you need to, because we need to help the young people do what's right and support them in that effort, because you guys are the future, and you guys are going to be leading when old men like me and TR, we finally hit the dirt and get our rest. Dylan, I heard you speak in a space earlier. DM me. I'd love to hear from you and talk with you. My daughter's also in the States, does a CARES project. Would love to sit down and chat with you as well. Thank you guys. You guys are doing awesome. Keep it up.
Thank you,
Thanks.
David.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, David. Yeah, just DM, or I'm sorry, Dale. I'm sorry, I was looking at your name wrong. Yeah, for sure. Just DM me, and we'll talk about some stuff.
All right, thank you, and thanks TR, Mike, and Wog. You guys are great hosts as well. Keep it up.
Thanks, Dale. I just want to mention, I think we're going to wind the space up very shortly. We've kept these three young men for 2.5 hours. Just bear with me for a second. I think we have one request. We'll move on to the last speaker, which will be, well, we'll have Hogue. But I just want to mention to these three young men that I look forward as a 68-year-old boomer to seeing more of you three. You three will definitely be leaders in the future. Definitely will be leaders. And we have not heard the last of any of you. And I'm going to move to Hogue and then Regan, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, so just as a fellow Gen Z, what do you guys need done in terms of spreading the word on the maritime front? Because I'm out here in Nova Scotia, so anything you guys need done in Nova Scotia, give me a ring. I'll do anything.
DM me. I want to talk to you. Send me a message. Yeah. If you're in the Atlantic front, that's a very difficult area for like-minded people. But please shoot me a DM as well. I'd love to
Christian,
talk to you.
I'm all in on with you in terms of the correct choice. That's for sure.
Yeah. No. Listen. Shoot me a message. I'd love to talk to you about
Yeah, likewise.
the Young
Send me
Leaders
one as
Forum.
well.
I think we lost Kamil. I think he's down listener.
I got him. I just added him.
His connection. There's some connectivity issues with some people right now.
Yeah. Regan, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, JR. Great space. Thanks for doing this. I just wanted to say to both the young men, thank you both for standing up for what you believe in. It's important. Your message is being heard, and I've been following your stories. You're on the right side of history, guys, and you're going to get some pushback from people, but just stand your ground, do what you think is right, and just keep fighting for what you know is right. So thank you both. I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you. That's it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Regan. Dylan, one quick one, and then we're going to go to final remarks.
Yeah, have you guys? Just from watching, the U.S. when we had Trump in office compared to Trudeau. Have you guys been looking at just some policy to see from the U.S. Hey, maybe this will probably work for our country, right? Like maybe this will help our country prosper. I'm just asking the young men because when you guys get a conservative to run, you guys need to seriously ask him on a lot of good Canada first policy, because all this policy would save your guys' country in a heartbeat. I'm just saying that. But that's all I ask.
Well, we've got a totally different situation going on here in Canada right now, and but I really don't want to get knee deep in it. We can do another. We've done many political spaces, and I'm trying to stay away from that. So I'm going to go to my hosts for last final word, and then we'll do a quick round robin to the Christian, Kamil, and Josh. I want to remind everyone the first one up in the nest there is his website with the Give, Send, Go. Please open your heart and open your wallet. Help Josh out in this fight. And with that, Mike, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, young men, for your time. Josh, especially, you're the youngest of them all, and that's really inspiring to have such a younger generation in tune of what's going on, for it is your future after all, right? So good on you on that, and I hope best luck of all your future endeavors, gentlemen, and stay united, stay strong, and eventually the pendulum will tip in our favor. So keep up the good work, and thanks for your time tonight, for your stories.
Wog.
Nothing really that I could add to better than what these guys already outlined. I think it was a really good on point presentation here tonight. So thanks to all the speakers, listeners, participants, the retweeters, especially Freedom Fingers. I know they're calloused and whatever, but let's get this Give, Set, and Go out there. I think the last time I checked it, it was up $370, and right now it's looking like it's up $1,400 in about 2 hours. So good work, guys. Thank you to all the people that contributed to that. Let's get the legal fight going here, and let's be very careful about what lawyers we pick. It seems to be a lion's den of lawyers, so I would just caution everybody about that. Don't be giving a ton of money to any one lawyer. Get them to do your stuff, and if they're not doing your stuff properly, you don't have a $50,000 retainer with them, or et cetera, or whatever. Be very careful about lawyers. They are snakes in the grass. They are the MPs. But yeah, that's my sort of ending note there. I will be holding a space, an after party space, quote unquote. So you guys should be up in the nest there somewhere.
It's the
probably
second in the
third.
nest. I put Josh's Give, Set, and Go at the front, but then
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. That's it for me. Yeah, thanks, Zink. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks, Wog. Zink, have you got any closing remarks?
Yeah, no, you guys are doing good work, and yeah, I mean, all of you. I mean, certainly keep up the fight, but I mean, take care of yourselves first, right? Don't overextend yourselves, right? I mean, do what you got to do to, live your life and prosper on your own too, because it's a long fight. So I mean, don't wear yourself out, and don't miss, the best years of your lives on these stuff, and that goes for all the young guys, Hogue, Christian too, Josh, Kamil. So yeah, just balance it, balance it.
Thanks, Zink. And we'll go quickly to Kamil, Christian, Josh, and then I'll have some final closing remarks. So go ahead, Kamil.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for having this space. It's incredible. There's a ton of people. I hope you guys found the three of us relatively interesting. I know the amigos are interesting, but yeah, the support still means so much. Like I can't express it. None of this would be possible. None of the pushback that we're seeing would be possible without every single person in here, really. And yeah, you have big figures like Josh, but you have everyone else that may not be being heard quite as much, that plays just as important of a role. So just never forget that. And just to close off, I feel like I say this every time, but it's so important to speak out and exercise your rights and your freedoms to express yourself. I know everyone in here is probably doing their fair share of that, but as important as social media is, it's important to get out, show your face. A face is worth a lot more than a Twitter account. So if there's any, get involved. If there's anything around you, maybe go pop your head in, see if you can meet any cool or interesting people, and remember to educate yourselves and try to educate those around you. It can't be understated how important in this fight, educating the people that may not necessarily know how important these rights are. Just have a conversation, keep it civil, but make sure your voice is heard, and just know you're on the right side here. So I just want to thank everyone for their time. Josh, Christian, appreciate you guys, everything you guys do. And yeah, thank you so much to everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Kamil. Thank you. Christian, and then Josh, and then I'll have a few words, and then we'll close out. Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, big ups and a lot of love to the three amigos. I like tuning into your guys' spaces a lot. Big ups to Kamil, Josh, Michael, Red Pill, and everybody in here. You know, I know a lot of people in this room right now are very fortunate of what the three of us are doing as young males, and but I really do gain a lot of inspiration from everybody else in this room, because it goes to show, for me at least, that what we're doing is not in vain, and that there are people out there in society who resonate with our message and our ideas, and they're committed to the causes that we are as well. And yeah, I mean, just remember that, as Kamil said, educate yourself, be respectful, get organized, show your face, hit the streets, push back against the insanity that you're seeing in this world right now. And I think if you push on for enough time, your ideas will actualize, and you know, the Canadian state that we're living within right now will be a lot better than it is. So much love to everybody again, and thank you for having me in here.
Thanks, Christian. And finally, Josh, Mr. Save Canada. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, big thank you to you all for putting this together. It's an excellent opportunity to discuss with these young men, and it's an honor to be able to chat with you guys. But I also want to give a big thank you to everybody that donated tonight. I didn't expect that to shoot up like that. And it's certainly going to help us on the journey. I mean, money's not something we usually want to ask for. There's too many grifters already, but it is necessary, and everything we're doing is pretty expensive. So thank you, and once again, we've said it many times tonight, but you can never encourage people to speak up enough, because freedom of expression is probably the most important freedom we have. So yeah, speak up while you can.
Okay. Just closing words here. I want to thank these three young gentlemen. So impressed at how well spoken they are. I mean, wow, you guys blow me away. I am going to donate. I've been busy running this space, so I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but I will. And thank you to everyone for coming in here. Thank you for your patience. We weren't overly free handing out speakers, but there was a reason for that, because we wanted these three gentlemen to speak and get their story out. So it was a pleasure and a surprise to have Christian come in, and thank you for that, Michael. Michael Batter sent me a message earlier today, and we brought Christian into the fold. And I did not know that Christian and Kamil were friends, and sounds like you guys have all made contacts together now. And I just want to remind everyone in the space, if you're not already following Kamil, Christian, and Josh, please give them a follow, and then we can keep abreast of them on Twitter. And Josh, please, anytime you need anything, feel free to DM me. You do have my personal cell phone number. You can call me or text me anytime. We want to stay connected with you guys and see your updates, whether it's on Twitter or whatever. And if need be, we can run another space sometime. But thank you for coming in. Thank you for standing up for Canadians. And thank you for being who you are. And with that, everyone, I'm going to bid adieu. And WOG is going to be opening up a space afterwards. Anybody that wants to come in and chit chat about anything that you heard tonight, that'll be over there for WOG. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, my co-hosts, and thank you for your patience. And good night, everyone.
God bless.
Josh, don't forget to check your DMs.